Hello, welcome back. My name's Rain, this is my craft channel, and hopefully you're still you. I'm back this week with another box frame diorama, although this one is a lot smaller than the one I did before, being only 11 centimeters by 11 centimeters. I try and make my dioramas to look like little fantasy worlds that you can almost imagine yourself stepping into, or even creating a backstory for. This one I haven't come up with one yet. I knew that I wanted some little tree houses, maybe set inside a jungle. So if any of you out there think of a nice little backstory for this teeny tiny treetop tenement of the box diorama, then do let me know. But for now, let's get into it. And of course, to make a box frame diorama, you're going to need a box frame. I've decided to make this one a smaller diorama, so it is only 11 centimeters by 11 centimeters. And here I am just laying out the sort of idea of where I wanted things to go. And I went straight in with making those little houses. These are just popsicle sticks where I've cut out windows, and I've used some packing tape, so brown paper tape on the back, just means that I could flex the houses round and bend them into the shape that I wanted them without them falling apart or getting too messy with glue. For the little windows, I actually had a box of wooden letters that I cut up. I've had these wooden letters for ages, and it was one of those things you think I'll get round to using, and never really got round to using. And it wasn't until I was thinking I need some windows, or I need this house to look a little bit more ornate, and that's when I came up with the idea. So as you can see, the doors there, which I'm just about to stick a little bead on for the doorknob, were made out of the U letters, and the windowsills I believe I made out of bees and possibly peas by cutting off the ends and the bits I needed. I then set those windows onto some tracing paper because I knew that I wanted the windows to seem frosty. I didn't want anyone to see inside the houses. Tracing paper is relatively cheap, dries really well, and this worked a lot better than I thought it would, and it's definitely a style that I'll be using again. The diffused tracing paper meant that the lights that I'm going to put inside the houses eventually were not too bright, and I was looking for that soft, warm, candlelit fire sort of glow coming from those windows. And there you can see I've just created the base for the bottom house that I'm going to be putting in, and I am back again with my trusty double-sided tape. I tell you, this stuff never lets me down. And of course those coffee stirrers. These are invaluable when crafting. I've used them here as to make a decking look, so I simply cut out the shape that I needed for the ground floor, and then I went over that with a double-sided, and I'm literally just cutting these coffee stirrers to fit in, and as you can see, it gives you a really nice sort of finish and look. And now we've made some easy to make, cheaply to obtain decking for our bottom house. I'm just going to play around here trying to fit it in, just giving it a little move left, right and centre till I find the sweet spot where it should sit. Now for the roof of this house, I have used a similar process as I did. I believe I'm using A's from that letterbox here, and again just using some tracing paper to diffuse as window panes in the top roof part. I then go on to cover this roof with some toothpicks. I wasn't too sure about this look to start with, but it does grow on me, so bear with and I'll show you how I improve it a bit later on. Now we can't have treetop houses without having some form of balcony or railing going around, and I've just used some jewellery eyelets here that were straight with little eyelets on the end. I attached them to a toothpick and I bent them all at the same side, so I ended up with an L shape with a circle on top. And I simply am going to flip the project over and start adding these with glue at different points around the base to create a roped barrier to stop anyone falling off the edge there. And I simply used some small brown string that I had, tied it at one end of the project and started threading it through. Now I was very aware when building this project there was a lot of little things like this that needed to go in place before all the other little add-on parts were in place, otherwise it would become extremely difficult to do later on. Right, onto the second house. Already done the base, and I wanted it to look a little bit different to the first house, but I also wanted them to be cohesive. So again, I used toothpicks to create the roof. Talking of toothpicks, no treetop home would be complete without a rope ladder. So here I am, just using a tie one knot technique, and then putting a toothpick in, and then tying another knot technique just to create a rope ladder. You're obviously going to need to do this twice, but I needed to take my time with this, just as it can be a little bit fiddly, and those toothpicks like to move around a little. Once this is all together though, it will create a very sturdy and a good looking, if I may say myself, rope ladder. And there we go, a nice little rope ladder. Now when I first started this project, I did want a rope bridge, but as you can see I didn't have much room, and it just didn't seem to fit in with the rest of the project. So I went with the rope ladder and I was satisfied. Now I'm doing the exact same barrier as I did on the bottom house on the top one here. Again, just bending those long eyelets into L shapes and gluing them in and around that top part, but bearing in mind that there needs to be a break where the rope ladder is in order to let people in and out. We want to try and make this fantasy project as realistic as possible. And there you can see the top little house has its own little railings. And we're going to want to go ahead and use brown string as we did on the one below, but obviously leaving that gap where that rope ladder is. Tying these knots, I pulled the string tight and then tied a knot so that when I cut the string there wasn't too much slack on it. But again, being careful with these little eyelets, working at miniature, everything has to be done a little bit slower and with a little bit more patience than normal. Which for me personally I find extremely hard because I like to do everything at 10 to the dozen and as quickly as possible. Now that bottom house I wasn't happy with, so I thought why not give it a little porch. I created this porch simply out of double-sided tape using those trusty coffee stirrers again and cutting them small enough to be able to create this tiny little porch entryway to this house, and I think it finished it off nicely. Here I've just pulled out some of my wooden beads. The idea here was to create some little plant pots, some little tubs and things to go around, just to make these little treetop houses look like they're lived in. I think this is a real vital part of the project. I've decided to use some of these what are weeping willow trees, but I'm going to cut them up to make them look more like vines and jungle vines rather than the weeping willows that they are. And here you can see the back part. I've already put some weeping willow cut up in the back there, just to add some real depth to this project. Now I'm going to go and paint the lights. The lights I got are bright white, and I didn't want that. I wanted like an orangey fire night glow. So I painted them different varying colours of orange and a couple of them yellow, just to add some variation. I simply used some glass paint, and this dries relatively quick, so I just let them dry and they were ready to put inside the project. I had to take my time placing these lights inside because I didn't want any of those actual LEDs to be pressing up against the windows or the doors, so just take your time and situate them properly so that it looks like none of them are shining through on the other side. And there's the back. The switches are all looking a bit messy. I will tidy up and put a side switch onto that later on, which I've already done there, making it easier to turn this project on and off. Now I did paint the backboard of this project some varying gradient of blue, but you really can't see it once all the vines and things are in, so this is really optional. I know it's there, we know it's there, but yeah, you can't see it. So I'm going in here with some little tufts of grass that I've got, and I wanted to use these in and around the pots to look like bits were growing out, maybe herbs, I don't know, again, just to add a little bit more interesting variations to the different platforms that I had. There I have finished the top off with moss, and we are almost complete. Sticking of the front vines onto this project was a little bit hit and miss, and I had to go in and around and just see where they sat, and they sat nicely. We're almost finished now, and I did finish off the project at the bottom with some more little bits of moss just to bring it all together. And there you have it. My craft gremlin said create a teeny tiny treetop tenement, make it into a box frame, and try and do it as small as possible. They seem satisfied, for now. And since you've made it this far in the video, why not go out of your way to give me a little thumbs up or even a subscribe, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you next week. All those little likes and subscription really do help you to push my videos to the audience they need to reach. So any of you out there that do give me them, I'm truly grateful and thank you for joining me on this journey. Once again, thank you for visiting my channel. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I have been Rain, you have been fabulous, and I hope to catch you again next week. Bye bye.